It's a school night. Yes, we're on Friday for a change, but thankfully nobody's really got to get up in the morning. Welcome to episode 43 of the Wise Guys. Mike, how you doing, my friend?
You know what? The kid finally bit me with the whatever the hell he's got going on up here. So we're doing okay, but we're it's actually tea in the mug this evening.
Yeah, it's that time of year. The kids are officially back in school. Everyone's bringing germs home. I was just telling you off air. My office partner, both of her kids have it. My brother and everyone over there's got it. I was just over there a few hours ago for my nephew's birthday. Um, he's
Oh,
thir-
happy birthday to him, by the way.
he's 13 today.
Are you serious?
My brother has a teenager.
Okay, let me say this, and if Frank, if you end up watching this at some point in time, the girl is going to be different. Oh, well done. Well done.
Happy birthday,
So yeah.
Kate.
Whew. Sorry. Wait.
Nicely done.
I
Nicely
figured.
done.
I figured. So we got a lot to get to tonight, dude.
We don't have a ton of topics, but the what we do is we could definitely go in for a little bit on them.
Oh, we absolutely could. I mean, especially with all the stuff going on in the NFL. I do have a question to pose to you in baseball tonight. I will tell you that Pete Alonso is doing his best. I want to ruin the Cincinnati Reds end of season right now at Citi
Yeah.
Field. But where you want to kick off there, bud?
Let's start with baseball since you actually brought it up. Let's get it out of the way, and this way the whole second half of the show could be college and NFL.
All right. So first things first. Let's say a hearty congratulations to the first division winner of the year, the Atlanta Braves. Phenomenal season. Basically, since June 1st of last year, they're playing 750 ball. It's unreal. So good for them. I don't see them doing well after a break in the postseason, so we'll see what happens. The question,
we're also about to get the Dodgers any day now.
Yeah, the Dodgers are next. It's basically going to be the same 1-2 as last year, just in reverse order in the National League anyway. I think we'll see the Phillies. Cincinnati's hanging on. I know there's a big series in Chicago this week with Arizona and the Cubbies. After Arizona dropped 3 or 4 in New York, and very realistically could have dropped all 4.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think Arizona is going to hang on. As much fun as it would be to see Perdomo, and Corbin Carroll in the postseason, I don't think they're going to hang on. I will make a prediction on one thing. One more good start, and I think Kodai Senga is going to win the Rookie of the Year.
And what happened to the Texas Rangers? It's a falling out of first place, and they are even though they're 6-game, they've won 6 in a row. That win streak's coming to an end real quick because they are taking it on the chin to the Guardians tonight, 9-0 in the 7th.
Yeah. Speaking of them and their brethren across Texas, I want to ask you a very serious question. Is Billy Epler a fucking genius?
Apparently, considering the news that came out earlier this week.
Yeah. So Scherzer's done. Verlander's been relatively ineffective. Meanwhile, Mark Canha's been okay in Milwaukee. Tommy Pham was just here with the Diamondbacks. He was okay. He's been okay in Arizona. As I mistakenly mute my phone, I got to mute my mic, or I got to plug my phone in. They basically fleeced some playoff teams, and Luis Angel Acuna is batting .330 in the minor leagues right now. The guys they got for Verlander have like 14 bombs between the two of them. This could be the fastest turnaround of a team that sold off at the deadline I think we're ever going to see. Because as of right now, you figure they're not playing terrible. They just don't have much in the – it's old Mother Hubbard, and only Kodai Senga's in the cupboard.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, you guys have put some distance between you and Washington for the race to the bottom in that division.
Yeah, and I expect them to finish fourth. Is it sad? Yes, it's entirely sad, especially with all the hope we had going into the season with the payroll and the commitment from ownership to try and win a championship. Really, the first time in 20 years since we had that. Having said that, the job Billy Epler has done, and now where he will not have to be running the baseball thing, he'll just be the GM with the hiring of David Stearns from Milwaukee. The Mets are set up pretty good. Plus, Yamamoto, the pitcher from Japan, I keep saying the Japanese pitcher, and I keep forgetting the guy's name. Well, it's Yamamoto. So he had 7 teams scouting him the other night, and all he did was throw a no-hitter. His agent is the same guy that represents Kodai Senga and Edwin Diaz. So
it's definitely good company to have.
It is. And with Billy Epler's ties to the Japanese professional leagues, of course, he's the one that brought Ohtani over. Senga is now a Met. I mean, you'd have to think they're going to go out and get him. And one other pitcher, Jim, and with the emergence of Alvarez and Mauricio, and Vientos is playing well, and Beatty's been played well early in the year, they're not far off from being contenders in 24 either.
I mean, quite honestly, they need to do something just because 23. That's the summary of the New York Mets 2023 season.
I prefer this one. It was
it could easily go down as one of the most disappointing seasons in professional history.
And honestly, I think it will, to be brutally honest. But last year's disappointment hurt more because I could see that team, had they, won that 10th game against Atlanta, I could see them benefiting from that time off and possibly vaulting themselves to a World Series. Maybe not winning it, but getting there.
Yeah, but once you're in the tournament, really anything goes. And you guys got in the tournament. You just got caught by a team who got hot at the right time and took it all the way to a world championship. This year, you guys had the biggest payroll in baseball history, and it's crash and burn, and someone's pissing on the ashes right now.
Basically. I mean, once we were on, 2 days? We did the Wisey's, 2 days after Diaz got hurt.
Yeah.
And you know me, as a psychotic New York Met fan, borderline serious psychosis, I knew this year was not going to live up to all of the hype. I thought they would get – I honestly thought they'd end up being the 6th seed because I knew Atlanta was just too good.
And what they turned into this year?
Fucking embarrassing!
Where did you find that?
You can thank Mrs. Rican for that.
Remind me to do that when I go up to bed later.
Oh, yeah?
That's not what I meant. Wait, are we talking about the Miami Heat again, or what are we doing here?
I figure I get just about all of them out of the way early.
Dude, you rock, but you cannot send me that last one. The last thing I need is Bobby playing with the soundboard and that one coming on.
And you know what you're going to be saying? Last one.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Oh, my God. Oh, you know what? And speaking of that gif and that scene, by the way, David Stearns has already said he's not going to trade Alonso either. So we can put that away for now.
But if he trades Alonso, couldn't he actually get back another? Oh wait, I'm thinking of a different David Stern with big threes and super teams anymore.
Yeah, right. Here's how screwed up the Mets' former ownership was. What was that?
The laughter.
Oh, okay. Speaking of how bad the ownership group was before Steve Cohen, Omar Minaya actually had Stearns as a intern in the Mets front office and basically begged Fred Wilpon to keep him. And he didn't do it.
Let's shift over to the American League for a second. Are the Toronto Blue Jays as good as they are about to miss the playoffs?
I think they are. Listen, if I hadn't moved and done all this stuff, we had lots of plans for baseball going into the season. But luckily I was able to get the relocation I wanted and we had to go. So didn't quite get to it, but I was going to say that I would not be surprised if Toronto missed the postseason. I didn't think Chris Bassett was the right fit for them to upgrade the rotation. He's good. He's serviceable, but they needed somebody at the top of the rotation. Now, no one saw Alek Manoah falling off the face of the planet,
right,
the way he has. Having said that, Kevin Gossman cashed a big contract on one good year. Ryu's getting older. Offensively, this team can swing with anybody. They don't have the arms. Now, Jordan Romano at the back end of the bullpen is very good, but they don't have the rotation to stack up because Tampa Bay somehow keeps pushing out starters left, right, and center. Not for nothing, when we were going to talk about this, I was going to pick the Guardians to win the Central, and the Guardians do the same thing. They push out starting pitching like it's nobody's business. Toronto hasn't developed a starting pitcher who has been of upper tier quality. Marcus Stroman.
Could we be seeing a scenario where one, maybe two of the second gen stars like Biggio, Bichette, Vlad, could we maybe see one of them get moved in an effort to bring in some arms?
No, I don't think so, because that's what's drawing for them. You know, you have two dudes whose daddies got plaques in Biggio and Vladdy Jr. Bo Bichette very well may be the best shortstop in the American League. I mean, there's an argument to be made for that. I don't think you can trade any of them. Now, and hear me out, should they have packaged Matt Chapman at the deadline to get pitching? Yes. Yes, they should have. Because you could have let Kevin Biggio play third, because he's playing the outfield, isn't he?
I believe so.
Yeah, you could have let Kevin Biggio play third and had Chapman, who would have gotten you a big fish. But they chose to stand pat and try and get this thing done. Now, granted, their big trade target was Stroman, and he has been god-awful. Since what, June or July 1st, he's been terrible.
Yeah, it was definitely middle of the summer.
So, you know, I understand why they stood pat. There really wasn't anything that was going to get them over the hump, but at the same time, you know, that's a lot of firepower. Would have done you pretty damn good in the postseason.
I mean, at least they're winning tonight 3-0 over the Red Sox, who are in turmoil of their own, especially after their manager, president of baseball operations, is not coming back next year.
Yeah, Heimblum, you knew he was going. You knew he was going.
There's a big part of me that is going to be remorseful, because I got a there's something that makes me feel like Chris Antonetti is going to be leaving the Guardians to take that position next year. I'm hearing him or the guy from Las Vegas. I'm already calling them the Athletics.
You think Billy Beane's going to leave the A's?
Not Billy Beane. It's I can't think of his name.
Because I can tell you, if anybody leaves the A's, it's going to be Billy Beane. That owner is going to want to change everything when he gets there. No more Moneyball bullshit. He's going to spend money.
I was hearing either General Manager David Forst or possibly President Dave Cabell.
If anybody is gonna run the Boston Red Sox, in my opinion, after turning them down once before, I think it's gonna be Billy Beane. I really do. Billy buys into their sabermetrics. He buys into their analytics, and Billy's not a bad talent evaluator.
Yeah, and the difference is that he's also, if he were to go to Boston, he'd have an unlimited checkbook to be able to get the guys that he wants to fit in that system.
Agreed. I mean, there was a great line in
He doesn't have to spit out popcorn to be able to get Ricardo Rincon.
Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And don't worry, I won't get kicked out like Lauren Boebert.
That was fucking great. Hold on. Let me be Jonah Hill for a minute. Oh, man. So, yeah, I think Billy's going to end up in Boston. I really do. You know what? If I was him and this guy just got the A's, just left Oakland, fucking leave. Fucking leave.
As much as the Red Sox want to throw the money around, though, I don't know if they're going to be able to afford him. I think for them right now, with the way that they turn young talent around, I have a feeling Antonetti might be the front runner because I think the Guardians, if they do move over to him, Mike Chernoff would probably be the logical, idea to step right into where Antonetti's at.
Yeah, but who would be the GM of the Guards at that point in time?
Could you make a case where maybe Tito goes into the front office and retires from managing to where he actually can do something like that and it's not as much wear and tear on his body with all the travel?
I don't see Tito becoming Charlie Donovan.
Yeah, because especially because we don't actually want to see them peel sections off of a cutout of Tito. Love him to death, but although if he does want to tail his wife, home from the ballpark, he doesn't have to use the bullpen car. He can use that sweet little scooter he does.
Yeah, right.
God, I want one of those one of these years.
What, the scooter or the bullpen car?
Yes.
Yes. Brett Michaels.
Funny enough, I'm on my way home from work yesterday, and a Poison song comes on 106.5.
Are you serious?
Dead serious. And it wasn't Every Rose Has Its Thorn either.
Well, which one was it?
Something to Believe in.
Nice. Speaking of radio stations in Cleveland, I told the two ladies in my office the 107.9 The End story from when we were kids. Because, of course, what are Bobby's initials? R-E-M. We left the gender reveal for him, and End of the World came on the radio.
Did you see the video of the couple that screwed it up terribly the other day? They made a cake, and the icing was the gender reveal. So the husband and the wife are there, and they've got their young son in the middle, and the wife makes the mistake of pulling the topper out to be able to cut into the cake. Well, the cake is off the bottom of the topper that they pulled out. It stuck to the plastic, ruined the whole thing.
No.
Yeah. He just looks at her and he goes, "You realize you just ruined that, right?" And she didn't even realize it. Yeah.
Good for him. No, ours was a baseball theme. And, Steph's got her Mets jersey on. I got mine on. And I had borrowed a batting tee from my buddy because I did not want her throwing it to me. Everyone's like, "Oh, you afraid you're going to miss?" No. They're hard plastic. And if you hit it, I didn't want it to hit her. So I hit it, blows up blue, obviously, and I kid you not, the bottom part of the ball went about 50 feet forward. It would hit her right in the face.
now if something else were to happen, you would think that you'd probably want it to, like, can we get that couple who dumps the milk balloons on each other? Just
they'd be fun.
Fill those up with either blue or pink, or like, the poppers or the smoke.
James, you might be onto something there.
Yeah,
if I ever had that
too.
it would be a hell of a lot funnier. If I had that kind of juice, I'd do it. But I don't have that kind of juice. So just, I want to put a bow on baseball. First of all, congratulations, blown saves or not, to Emmanuel Clase, first Guardian/Indians reliever with 40 saves in back-to-back seasons. Congratulations to him. That's still tough to do. I mean, it's not an easy thing.
I want to say he moved into sole possession of 5th on the all-time saves list. I think next up is from our youth, Doug Jones.
Joe Table got the record right now?
I believe so. I want to say Clase's at like 106, 107, and Doug Jones is at 124. So, I mean, he'll pick that off early next year, hopefully.
Early next year, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I was telling Alex last week, we talked about it, we're going to have an end-of-season wrap. 1/2 Big Rican Baseball Show, 1/2 Wise Guys episode. Which will be a lot of fun to go over just this season and, kind of forecast for 2024, which, did I just say that?
The year is less than a quarter from being over. You realize today is the halfway point of of September already. Labor Day, didn't we actually just have Labor Day?
Yeah,
and it's already been 2 weeks.
How are we in week 3 of the college football season starting tonight? Maryland was playing Virginia.
Yeah. And week 2 of the NFL season. And then we've got, our regular show next week. Then we've got the watch along on the 30th. And then it's the NBA and NHL.
The watch along's next week.
Is it next week? I thought it was the 30th.
23rd.
Okay. So and then we've got the NBA and NHL preview the week after that.
Yeah. So we're heading hard into and then by the time we get to just after the trip, we're going to have our first episode. Yeah, I know. Just after the trip, we're going to have our first, the playoff rankings will be out. So we'll start handicapping where the playoffs can end up from there.
Yep.
Dude, this year is flying. Feels like it feels like I just got down here. I'm here 7 months next week.
You said you just got down there?
That's what she said.
You found it.
Did you think I wouldn't?
No, I knew you would. So I need that one for my soundboard because that would be hilarious to see the 2-year-old just keep going. That's what she said. That's what she said. That's what she said.
But I know I'm going to be the one getting blamed for it. So she's probably.
You are not. I'm
going to be sleeping in the car when I'm down there because she's not going to let me in the house.
Dude, I'm telling you, I am toying with greeting you at the airport with a sign.
It would be better if it was a jam box.
Wait. I dress up like a chauffeur and the sign just says CC. Yeah, I know.
I have so many buttons on here anymore. I can't even find the one that I wanted. Seriously, look at. But mine's actually shrunk down probably about 2 sizes.
Yeah, I'll shrink mine down once I put more on there. So Jim, let's jump into. Well, next week's show is all about college football, so let's jump in the NFL first.
Well, we got one more topic about baseball
Okay.
tonight, and we actually you sent it to me just before the show. I saw it earlier today, but I was going to send it back to you.
The Bananas are in the Hall of Fame. Congratulations to the Savannah Bananas, who are, basically the Globetrotters of baseball, getting their own exhibit in Cooperstown. Listen, have you ever been to Cooperstown, Jim?
No, it's a bucket list thing. That Toronto for the Hockey Hall of Fame. I want to say, weather permitting, later on this fall, I'm going to get down to Canton. I've never been to a Hall of Fame unless it's the Rock Hall.
Yeah, I've been to the Rock Hall, obviously. I've been to Canton. I've been to an induction. So, I mean, Cooperstown's off the list. I've even been to Springfield to the Basketball Hall of Fame years ago. This is how long ago I went to the Basketball Hall of Fame. Shaq hadn't even been into the NBA yet.
All I can think about right now is Frank Caliendo doing an impersonation of Shaq.
I like the Charles Barkley one better.
The Barkley one is
terrible.
good. I think in terms of basketball impressions, his Bill Walton is still the best.
Oh, Bill Walton will always be the best. Yeah, so the Bananas, that's awesome. Oh, did you see I'm pretty sure now last night the Mets had, or 2 nights ago, had a woman who played in the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League.
From a League of Their which was popularized from the League of Their Own movie.
And I'm pretty sure it was the woman who was the basis for Madonna's character.
I did see something about that, but I didn't
She
read
threw out the first pitch the other night at the ball, and she's like 94. She still wears the baseball glasses. She threw, Sister Jean's out here in a wheelchair. This woman's standing there with a cane throwing darts. So yeah, and that's good. That's awesome for the Bananas, man. That's just phenomenal.
And on a personal note, congratulations to Adam Wainwright getting win number 199. It was actually his first win in like 2 months, and he goes for number 200 here later on this week. But he's also going to be giving a post-game concert where
That's cool.
A lot of his own material because he's got an album coming out in a few weeks. I would love to see Wayno get to 200, but as bad of a season as he's had, who knows anymore? If this is his first win in 2.5 months, and he's been sitting on this trying to ride off into the sunset because this is his last year as well, it'd be a really nice story. I think we're saying goodbye to Miggy, we're saying goodbye to Wayno. I mean, we said goodbye to Yachty and Al last year. It's times are changing, brother.
Yo, give it a few more years. Can you imagine when the entire city of St. Louis descends upon Cooperstown?
Yeah.
They're going in together.
They'll find some way to put all three of them. I mean, well, at least the two of them. I don't think Wayno's a Hall of Famer, but definitely.
I don't think Wayno's a Hall of Famer either.
Yeah.
And again, no disrespect, but I don't think the numbers are there. But the other two, you're talking about arguably the best defensive catcher of all time.
Right. And arguably the greatest power hitter of our generation.
That's not even arguable that he is. I will fully say that.
I still think maybe for the last 2 years in Anaheim, had he come to St. Louis earlier or the DH been put in, I think he could have passed Bonds.
I think he would have had a better shot.
Yeah. Certainly would have passed Aaron for the official clean record.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Here's one for you. I think the Veterans Committee, or what is considered the Veterans Committee, meets again this year. I think Keith Hernandez is going to get in.
I think it's a little overdue. Let's circle back to that in around spring training, and let's come up with some names that we think that are long overdue to get in, like how we do with Clay Matthews every year. We talk about the NFL Hall of Fame
from the Legends Committee. Well, yeah. Hernandez definitely. You're
Yeah.
talking about the greatest defensive player at a position. It's stupid that he's not there yet. I have personal feelings. I think John Franco should be in.
He held the saves record for the longest time.
He still has the most ever by a left-handed pitcher, and no one's catching him. Billy Wagner has 2 less than he does.
I think if it hadn't been for some of the salacious allegations that came out against him in recent years, I think Omar Vizquel off of his defense should have gotten in. The offensive numbers weren't there, but you can't argue that there was a better defensive shortstop in that era.
I firmly believe the fact that Ozzie Smith is in and Omar Vizquel is not is a travesty. Here's a name for you with where you're at.
Pete Incaviglia.
Kenny Lofton. And I will say this. Scott Rowland is in.
Yeah.
Kenny Lofton. The only reason he didn't win any Gold Gloves in the outfield was because Griffey was there. And I think he might have won 1 or 2.
Yeah, that's the problem.
What are you talking? 300-400 stolen bases, couple of thousand hits. Lofton had phenomenal numbers.
Kenny Lofton's career numbers, according to Baseball Reference, if my career 299 hitter, 2,428 hits, as my internet is being an absolute pain in the ass. This is ridiculous. I got to call my provider anymore. Certain sites it'll load fine, but even the most basic thing, it just sits there and holds for 2 minutes. Uh, 622 stolen bases, 1,528 runs, 781 RBIs, a WAR of 68.4, 130 home runs, an OPS of 794. 6-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glove.
Why is he not in yet?
I completely agree. And in 1993, he finished 15th in the MVP voting. In 94, he finished 4th.
That's right, he did.
He was 11th in 96 and 26th in 97. And that 97 year, he was in Atlanta.
He was in Atlanta. That was the trade that got Cleveland, David Justice, and Marquise Grissom.
Yep.
And then, of course, goes back to Cleveland in 1998 after his mother told him to.
Played there for 4 more years and then finished up with 52 games with Cleveland in 2007 after being released by Texas.
Yeah, because he was on the postseason roster for that. They should have won that World Series.
Yep.
They folded like a tent.
And also 945 walks.
Yeah, he needs to be in. There's a couple others that you can make an argument for. I don't think they're quite there yet. But when I throw you names like Harold Baines and Scott Rowland, I think it's going to open the door for more people. I hope and I pray that it opens for David Wright. I do. You're talking about a guy who, with all the injuries, 1,700 plus hits, nearly 1,000 RBIs, 224 career home runs. I mean, couple Gold Gloves, Silver Sluggers, one of 3 third basemen all time to go 30-30.
I saw a clip of him I don't know how recent this was, but he went into some restaurant in San Diego and the bartender was wearing his jersey and didn't even realize it was him.
She's a transplant from New York, He was her favorite player, and whenever the Mets are in California, he goes to at least one of the series because that's where he lives now.
Mm-hmm.
With his wife and 3 kids, and his son's first name is Brooks. You think he's going to play third base?
Right.
Brooks David Wright.
Because remember, Jonah also said he was the greatest third baseman of all time.
Agreed. But yeah, no, David has the numbers. Funny thing is, here's one for you, Jim. I said David's one of 3 third basemen to go 30-30 all time. Who are the other 2? One should be a slam dunk for you because he did it in 2017.
Oh, I was immediately thinking Mike Schmidt.
Mike Schmidt never stole 30 bases in a year. One's from the 80s, one was from 2017.
Hosey?
Hosey did it in 2017.
Wasn't Terry Pendleton, was it?
Nope.
Because I know Pendleton used to go yard, and Pendleton surprisingly would always get a surprising number of stolen bases every year. Tony Gwynn couldn't run at all.
Tony Gwynn could run at the beginning of his career.
At the beginning.
It was done twice, in 1987 and 1989. I'm sorry, 3 times. 87, 89, and 91 by the same player.
Cal was at short.
Mm-hmm. Sandberg was at second.
Wade Boggs?
Howard Johnson.
Because he's a hoe.
That's what she said.
Howard Johnson did it 3 times. And in 87, him and Strawberry did it the same year for the Mets. And they didn't get to the playoffs. 2 guys, 30-30. Couldn't get to the playoffs.
Never fails.
Fucking Mets.
Fucking embarrassing!
What is that from?
Letter Kenny?
Pitter patter, let's get at her.
I was going to pull that one, but the audio quality sucked, and the clip was too long.
Yeah.
Because they put the whole thing.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah. Every one that I actually tried to find, it was the whole thing. And when I tried to trim it, it turned the audio quality to shit.
It's no good.
But to quote the man, the myth, the legend, Al Bundy, like the man outside, like the man in the stall said to the man outside, just give me time, baby. Just give me time.
I have no fear that you won't. I have no fear that you will have that done, sir. Why?
You know. Morons.
That's basically us. Okay, can we go to the NFL real quick for something with that? Have you seen where they dubbed that over Taylor Swift's song?
How could you not? It's legendary.
Is Taylor going to be spending her winters and springs in Cleveland Heights?
Not if my father wants a restraining order, she won't.
Is she going to be Taylor Kelsey?
And especially after this week's episode of New Heights.
Dude, I got through the entire one with his wife. Oh my God.
The fact that she spent 90 minutes calling both of their shit out.
That was the best. I think Jason was actually offended and hurt when she said he was a Slytherin instead of a Gryffindor. Okay, how can I put this something you'll understand? Slytherin would be like being in the NWO. Gryffindor are the faces.
Speaking of which, future
And
endeavors to
and Hufflepuff is the Brooklyn Brawler.
or Abe Knuckleball Schwartz, same guy, but
Or Bruiser Brody.
moment of silence. That's still like loved Bruiser Brody, but just watching his episode of Dark Side of the Ring about his murder, just ugh.
Yeah, I've never watched Dark Side of the Ring.
It's there are some classic, like they did a Junkyard Dog one. They've done
Nice.
the life of the entire family of Jake the Snake Roberts, who's I can't remember his dad's name, but his sister is Wendy Richter.
Really?
Yeah. It's gonna his dad is Grizzly Smith.
Not familiar. Wendy Richter, I am. She was the WWF, well, now WWE ladies champion back in the 80s, right?
Right.
Her and
And,
Alundra Blaze.
which was Medusa in WCW.
Yep.
Deborah Maselli, I know her as. She was also a former world champion monster truck driver. And her
That's
most
random.
and her biggest claim to fame was remember dropping the WWE title in the trash on Nitro.
I remember that.
They did a New Jack episode. They did an Abdullah the Butcher episode. They did. You might not remember this, but as ECW was in the process of closing down, that there was that other company, XPW. That was
Vaguely.
It was actually run by Rob Black, who basically also used it as a front to distribute porn, and then ended up going to jail for 5 years.
Nice.
There was apparently one on Marty Jannetty that I missed because Marty Jannetty's a nut job.
Yeah, apparently he pulled a gun on people when he was fighting with Heartbreak Kid.
Yeah. It's easy. They did 2 episodes on Owen Hart. They did one on Brian Pillman.
Really?
Yeah,
Flying Brian, huh?
They did one on Dynamite Kid. It's one of the better shows on TV, but it's the thing. The problem with it is that every time they actually say that they're coming out with more, they even did one on the Ultimate Warrior. Every time it comes out, you're like, oh God, I forgot about this. I was trying to block this part out, but it's like, it's so good when they actually get done with it. And it's so temperamental. It's not like they're saying, okay, they've been renewed for season 5. It could go 18 months before they decide that they're going to do another one. Just because of what the network does.
Yeah, that would drive me nuts.
So they did one on Doink the Clown. Well, the guy who played the original Doink the Clown, Matt Bourne, was like seriously fucked up.
Really?
Yeah. Because he actually died, and then they got another guy to play the character because of how over it was. But yeah, excellent show. I would definitely recommend it. You could probably find a bunch of episodes up on like Daily Motion or like Vice, their official site. Really good. And a lot of it's narrated by like Chris Jericho.
Oh, that's phenomenal. I love Jericho.
But yeah, back to the Kelsey boys. His Tinder bio.
That was phenomenal. Because I don't think they did a show this week because Jason was playing last night.
Yeah. where Jason proposes, where he's got to go inside and take a shit.
This is not the most romantic way to do this.
That episode might have converted me into listening.
It was for me, honestly, it was the episode with Shannon Sharp.
Which I need to go back and watch because
That was good.
The thing is that some of the older ones now, I mean, granted, they're only 50 episodes in. Hell, we're almost approaching them.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's some of those are like non-time sensitive. Like, I guess, like, you know, next week or something, they'll do like a week 1 or week 2 recap. And it's like you can't really go back and watch those 5, 6, 7 weeks later, you know?
No, the Patrick Mahomes one is good. The one with Jalen Hurts is good.
I heard the one with Tom Brady's really good too.
I haven't seen that one yet, and I won't watch that one. Fuck Brady. All the memes. My personal favorite is the one at the end of Endgame. Thanos is sitting there, and you see Tom Brady's name put over top of him, and Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America, it says Jets coaching staff. You couldn't live with your failures, so where did that bring you? Back to me. No.
There was one I actually saw, and I got to find the rest of it. It was like those 30-second YouTube shorts. It was Peyton and Brady playing golf together, and Peyton's asking Brady if he can name the 5 receivers in NFL history that caught passes from both of them.
And he pulled the most random one first.
Yeah, I got the first 3. I haven't seen part 2 to be able to get the last 2 yet.
Wes Welker. And
that's right. I forget about Welker in Denver.
Yeah, Wes Welker's got to be number 1. I forgot Austin Collie played in New England.
Yeah, I remember that because because that's actually, I think, when he had kind of like moved on to Dallas Clark or something, or had
no, Dallas was there first.
Or
Collie was a wideout. Collie was, you know what? When they got Collie, it was after Gonzalez got hurt.
Okay. I was a Colts fan, but just for Manning back then, because number 1, the Browns sucked, and number 2, he was the best chance to knock off Brady every year.
Very true. And I was never a huge Peyton Manning fan, but in retirement, I am a Peyton Manning fan.
I always loved Peyton, except when he was at Tennessee and my Gators were owning him, which is certainly not going to happen tomorrow, but we'll talk about that later.
I talked to a guy today who works at Georgia Tech. I said, what do you guys need to beat Georgia in the fall? He said, a miracle.
Bust a breakdown. Emergency landing in a river or something.
Jeez, Jim.
To where they can't get to the stadium on time.
Yeah, right.
Hurricane postponement, cancellation. I mean, we got a bunch of really bad rivalry games this weekend.
They need a natural disaster.
Earthquake and typhoon.
Nice. Good pull.
Champions post. Wait. My name's Jimmy. Can I get a megaphone? And be Jimmy Hart?
See, I was thinking if we did a Halloween episode, you should do that.
I can't grow I can't grow a beard out though.
Just draw it.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Don't grow the beard. At least don't try to.
Yeah, when I try and grow beards, it's like when Beavis and Butthead try to grow beards.
You have to pencil them in?
No, I got to shave them from my head and start trying to tape it on my face. Dude, we're so smooth. We got a beard on our hand.
Dude, stop. Anyways,
Surely you can't be serious. I am serious. I don't know the truth.
nice. So let's jump into week 1 of the NFL. A little quick wrap up. I think people have got to pump the brakes on Tua. It was one game and he didn't get his Kiwi hit. You and I made some picks the other night that were just dead ass wrong.
Yeah.
I talked to Alex. I talked to Alex Sunday, and he just was distraught.
I shut it off like midway through the third quarter. It's like I'm like, I can't do this to Alex anymore. I can't watch this.
No, and I honestly didn't pay attention to any of the games on Sunday. I was doing stuff with the family. I'm not that big in the NFL anymore, as you know, and I paid attention to certain things. I paid attention to what that game was because we had talked about it the night before. I paid attention to the Browns.
I think I was on such a high after that game, and we're gonna deep dive into that game here in a couple of minutes. But it's I didn't even watch the late game, what Dallas did, because I was on such a high with the Browns. I didn't actually want to ruin my mood.
Well, let's talk about the Dallas one real quick because that was a crazy stat. Did you see what came out of that game? The stat? No team had ever lost 40-0, lost the sack battle 7-0, gave up a pick six, a blocked field goal for a touchdown in any one season ever. The Giants did it in one fucking game.
That's like the equivalent of like Mario scoring a goal all 5 different ways you could in one game.
Yeah, no, this was insanity. And the Giants are god-awful. I don't think the Cowboys are as good as people say they are, but the Giants are god-awful.
Yeah, it's Philadelphia is still the class of that division right now.
They had a tough one against Minnesota last night.
They did, but Minnesota, you figured they were going to bounce back after week 1, after losing to Tampa the way that they did.
How about Baker?
Did you see what he said about post-game comments?
How about Baker? I'm from Texas, but I'm a Rangers fan. Oh, Baker. Absolutely. That was phenomenal. But I'll tell you what, though. One of the players from Tampa was on Pat McAfee, who did you see everybody's in Colorado this week, too? Just randomly?
Yeah,
all the networks are there.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, McAfee had one of the receivers or somebody from Tampa, not Mike Evans, but one of the other guys. And he said, listen, Baker had that figured out before halftime. And Pat's like, wow, we don't think of Baker like that. He not an adult. Adults don't do that. And McAfee went in.
Yeah, but the afternoon show on Cleveland radio, the afternoon sports drive show, the afternoon drive show on the sports station, I should say, brought up a good point. In baseball, we consider it cheating and we crucify them. Baker basically did the same thing and we give it a pass.
No, Baker didn't have someone film it and have him buzz in his ear or make noise on the sidelines.
Yeah, but let's also keep in mind is that Baker also, if he's doing that, he's probably got cameras. They could be feeding something in. He could have seen something with the tablet, so it's filmed. And then he's also getting the play in from the sideline, so he's got a headset in his helmet.
Yeah, but remember, he made his changes after the headset was turned off. Because like John said when he told us, at 20 seconds, they cut it. So Baker's making his adjustments at the line. What Baker did was more like catching a pitcher, tipping his pitches. Like, for instance, Eduardo Perez told it about a year and a half ago or so. He ran into Randy Johnson, and Eduardo Perez hit 400 off Randy Johnson. Who would have thought about that? But when Johnson threw a fastball, his glove was closed. When he threw a slider, he flayed it. And Eduardo picked up on it. And that's how he hit so well with Randy Johnson. It's the same thing. Baker figured out they were tipping their pitches. And I'm sorry, at that point in time, if you're doing it to yourself, catch it, number one, and fix it. Or number two, you got to deal with it.
Yeah.
This was not banging trash cans until Baker brought it up, which I thought was hilarious. I sent that to Willie too.
But good on him.
And you know what? He didn't blow people away with the stats, which he never does. I mean, I think didn't he only throw for like 300? It's like 350 yards his highest of all time in the NFL.
I want to say it was something like that. I think he only threw for $177 on Sunday.
Yeah, but he didn't turn the ball over and he won.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing is he got the dub.
Yeah, and
in a
this
very,
is
very hostile environment, which is arguably the loudest stadium in football.
exactly. And with him, I will say this. He's not going to blow you away with the numbers. That's not his game in the NFL. But the guy wins more often than he loses.
Yeah. I mean, let's take the last year out of the equation with the last 2 years realistically, for bouncing around and everything. He's got a chance to. I mean, let's see them go out, this week and get another dub, favored against Chicago, more than likely going to happen. Their home opener.
They're in Tampa. Yeah.
Yeah. 2.5-point favorite. It'll come across the screen here in a second.
Yeah, I think they win this week. I honestly do. Speaking of this week, we have an interesting game in LA coming up. The first ever number one overall pick against the first ever Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, it's and what do we want to talk about first? How Brock Purdy looked or how bad Pittsburgh was? But I think we can save that for when we preview the Monday Nighter, or one of the two Monday Nighters, I should say.
Oh, is this a double Monday night week this week?
Yep. Although the funny thing is it's not a double header. They're putting one game on ABC and one game on ESPN at the same time.
Well, I will say this. As far as the one Monday Nighter goes, Pittsburgh is god fucking awful.
And we'll expand on that here in a few.
We will. But yeah, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant from last year's draft against Matthew Stafford, who was, of course, the number one overall pick sometime in the mid-aughts.
When they were still wearing leather helmets and the ball was white. And
Stetson Bennett was in college.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
I never realized that the Browns, because the Browns are wearing their all white helmets this week.
Oh, are they?
The alternates, they're going all white head to toe. That they used to wear white helmets when they first came out, and the only reason they painted the helmets orange is because the footballs were white back then. How am I 45 years old and I never knew that?
How am I 44 and don't care?
I just thought it was kind of cool. But
That is kind of interesting, though. I will give you that. I will also give you this. Going back to week one, I think Anthony Richardson didn't look terrible. He didn't look terrible at all.
although we've got Bryce against Richardson this weekend.
Yeah. Bryce and Richardson this weekend. Who's Houston got?
It's Houston and Indianapolis.
That's CJ and
I'm sorry.
Anderson.
I'm sorry. Bryce is on Monday night hosting New Orleans. They're a 3-point dog. That Houston Indianapolis game is going to be the prison inmate game of the week.
I don't think so.
Pay me enough to watch that game.
Denver, Washington.
That one will be bad, but I think Houston, Indianapolis, 2 rookie quarterbacks, I think it's going to be worse.
Well, CJ was running for his life.
If if
Sorry.
somebody balls out, they're going to say it's because they're playing against one of the two worst teams in football.
Yeah, and sorry about the noise. Bobby's little play vacuum cleaner got kicked.
I
At least it wasn't the other part. The other part plays Baby Shark.
was going to say it's like Mega Maid. It's gone from suck to blow.
Did you just really do the Pornhub drums with a Spaceballs reference?
It's what I do.
I know it is. But I will say this. Actually, you know what? The Indianapolis Houston game is the bring your mother's, uncle's, father's, sister's former roommate to the game day.
Oh, I just saw one that was worse.
What's that? The Giants and who?
I was just saying the Giants at Arizona. Giants are a 4.5-point favorite after all of that. Arizona went out and shit the bed. The Giants didn't even score, and somehow the Giants are a 4.5-point favorite in this game. And in just we're gonna talk about why this went the way that it was. Dallas, after their massive win, that line shot up to 8.5 hosting the Jets on Sunday.
I think that's bad. I think the Jets are going to cover.
I think that's low.
I think the Jets are better than people think they are.
I think that's low. Their defense can be as good as they want. If they can't move the damn ball,
See, that's going to be tough. And Rodgers or Wilson, we're going to have a hard time with that Dallas defense. I will say this, though.
especially with the Dallas home opener.
Yeah, I will say this, though. I wouldn't kick it to that kid again.
Although they got away with an obvious trip on that return.
Emotional damage.
After he threw the third interception, I take that back. After Josh Allen fumbled for his fourth turnover midway through the third quarter, I shut it off and went to bed.
Dude, I didn't pay attention. What was I doing? I was working on, I have some stuff I have to do for work, for some licensing stuff. And I was working on that Monday night and my phone blew up. Creedy's is the first one. He puts down, oh, wow. And I'm like, what? And I'm thinking Rodgers threw like some dime touchdown, what have you. He's like, dude, 4 plays. He's done. It's just, and he said to me, he said, it looks like the Achilles. He's done.
Yep, $30 million for 4 snaps. Well, 5th if you count the Achilles. Thank you, Bill Squire.
You're a dick. I still think the TikToks
I have leveled up.
I still think the TikToks I was telling you about off the air were funny as hell too.
My brother showed me one earlier today that took the cake. He's out of surgery, but why is he wearing a mask in the hospital?
Because in New York you have to. What did I say? What did I see? It said, Indris Achilles finally believes in science. So, and not for nothing. Hopefully, it's not the end of his career. That would be horrific to me. But he could do what Mariano Rivera did. You know, Mo was shagging fly balls in what was supposed to be his final season, tore the ACL in Kansas City, and then came back for a year because he wasn't going to let it go out that way. So hopefully it's like that for him. As much as you can't stand him.
I was going to say it couldn't happen to a bigger dick.
Yeah, it could happen to Harbaugh. John, that is.
I stand by my statement.
Brett Michaels. You know, I said that at work today. Oh God. So I mean, there's a bunch of good games this week too.
Kansas City
Jacksonville.
and Jacksonville is the best game of the week.
That's going to be the best game of the week. Absolutely.
And I actually like this one is because it's actually in Jacksonville. I mean, if this game was in Kansas City, that line goes from 3.5 to probably about 8.
Yeah, well, Chris Jones and Kelsey are back,
Yep.
so that's a different team. And you can say what you want about.
Did you see the what Chris Jones was quoted as saying why he came back?
No.
So this way he can talk to Trav about getting him tickets for the whole world tour next year.
Jesus Christ. Listen, you've been the anchor on a defense that's won 2 Super Bowls in the last 4 years. They shouldn't have been giving him this much of a hard time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Especially when you're going out and bringing in free agents and you got a guy there. I mean, I just don't think that's right.
He had to get back in the lineup just because they're playing the most up-and-coming team in the AFC right now.
Yes, agreed. As much as it burns me because I can't stand sunshine, you know that.
I mean, we established that last week with Alex, but this is going to be something where Jacksonville, I think, is going to run and hide in that division, and I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if in the next 2 to 3 years, Jacksonville is now gets back to a level that we thought that they were going to a few years ago with Bortles about challenging for the AFC championship.
Well, that's when they went to Pittsburgh and beat Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, but
With
then
Bortles?
they went to New England. And New England had a big second half comeback on them or something.
Yeah, they got the doors blown off them in that one half. So yeah, that's going to be the game of the weekend. I agree with you. A couple games I think are going to be outliers that no one's going to talk about until they get good. That Miami New England game is going to be good.
Yeah.
Listen, Belichick's always got something for the quarterbacks, man.
The New Orleans Carolina game on Monday night in Carolina's got a little bit of potential to it.
Yeah, Derek Carr looked pretty good last week. And Derek Carr's got more than one weapon now, which is really only something. He's only had a running back and maybe a wide receiver. But the Michael Thomas player, is he still?
I'm not 100% sure, but if Tampa Bay slips a little bit, you're going to see these two teams kind of fighting it out to win that division. I think New Orleans might be the best on paper in that division right now, but I think Carolina has got a lot of potential with Bryce. I mean, the talent's there. They nearly won the division last year. And certainly under 500. I mean, it was arguably the worst division in the history of the NFL. That season. I mean, hell, even when the Seahawks won with a 7-9 record, they were a better team than that. I mean, last year, all 4 of those teams in that division were god awful. We saw what happened. We saw what happened with Brady's swan song in the playoffs. And that couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
That too.
But it's something that I think Carolina was just missing a decent signal caller to be able to get them over the hump. And let's see what Bryce does, especially now, playing in warmer climate. He's still down south. They've kind of tooled the offense around him. I think whoever wins this game, we're going to actually start to see a couple of layers being peeled back from the onion a little bit.
No, I think you're right. I will say this, though, as far as what Carolina did or didn't do last year. Matt Rule was not fit for the NFL. Sorry. I think that was a lot of Carolina's problem. Baker's with NFL coaches right now, not a college coach, and look what he did in week 1.
Right.
So no, I would say that part of the issue was the coaching staff. Listen, Frank Reich has a great track record with quarterbacks. I mean, he had Carson Wentz playing at an MVP level. He took Nick Foles to a Super Bowl. He revitalized Andrew Luck's career before Luck just got obliterated a few more times. Jacoby Brissett looked good under him. Phillip Rivers had him almost in the playoffs a few years ago.
Yeah.
So Frank Reich running the quarterback room and being the head coach, I like that. Would Frank Reich have done anything different last year? Don't know. I know him and Bryce Young are a nice fit. And listen, I think McCown is a lot better as a quarterback coach than he was as a quarterback.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because he's not helicoptering himself and playing on almost as many teams as Fitzpatrick did.
Did you see Fitz was on the Manning cast Monday night when the punt return came in?
I did not, but I did see he's in the new Subway commercial with
Kittle and who's the other one? It's him, it's Kittle, and it's the dude from Cameron Jordan.
Okay.
From New Orleans.
New Orleans.
It's not Subway, it's Little Caesars.
Man, that four corner thing that they've got looks so goddamn good, but then you actually have to put it in perspective. This is still Little Caesars.
Yeah, you're still gonna probably worse than that. Only you, Jim.
You're lucky I didn't pull one that would have been worse than that.
You should have pulled the whole scene from Blazing Saddles.
We already have one. Then again, I've got 2 clips of The Office on here now.
That's true.
Bloodier game this weekend. The Bengals going to Baltimore or the Browns going to 3 Sewers? Especially with what you sent me earlier today.
That was pretty good, right?
That was pretty damn good.
He's hilarious. He did one with all the kids stuff, all Mr. Rogers and Barney and Blue's Clues, because that Miss Rachel is out and she's so big now. So if you remember Blue's Clues from if you knew anybody who was younger, he puts his face over Steve and you hear, "You done got me fucked up. You done got me fucked up." And he does it again, and all of a sudden you see Blue start, and you gonna catch these hands.
What is he, Braun Strowman? Get these hands.
Basically. So that's a tough call because I think Baltimore is bloody because Cincinnati is the most irresponsible franchise in the history of football. They are. They just are. Listen, Joe Burrow deserves the contract he got, and all the crap people are giving him isn't deserved. What's deserved on that is that Cincinnati needs to sit down and look at themselves in the mirror and go, "We done fucked up."
Yeah.
They have done nothing to build that offensive line.
Let's call it what it is. You can actually talk about him being injured all you want. You can talk about how the ball felt heavier because of the moisture, and it wasn't raining that hard. I mean, there were clear skies over me, but it was that, and you're familiar with it. And it, being a former Clevelander, sometimes that fall, that late summer, early fall mist comes, the temperature cools off, and it feels like you're in a driving rainstorm, but it's just a mist.
Yeah, no, and it's just a miss, especially down on the lake with the wind swirling and in that stadium.
Exactly.
So that wasn't his issue. But I will say this. Billy didn't look that good either.
Billy didn't look well. People say Billy didn't look good, but a lot of his throws were underthrown. But because the ball was that much heavier, I think if the weather conditions were better, I think honestly, Deshaun would have probably thrown for over 300 yards, and they would have hung 40 on him.
You're probably right.
And I still don't think Burrow. I still don't think it would have helped Burrow all that much anyway with the injury.
No, not with the injury. But I'll say this: if you're going to take shots at Burrow for the way he did, and listen, that defense was lights out.
I mean, Delpit rebounding, Denzel playing well and not getting hurt.
When they're healthy, they're phenomenal. But you and I have talked about this. Their depth is shit.
Their depth is shit, but let's also keep in mind that the three guys that they picked up on that front seven, Dalvin Tomlinson, Zadarius Smith, and Okoronkwo, man, were those guys in the backfield all fucking afternoon.
But that's part of the problem. And luckily for the Browns, they're going to play 4 games against teams whose offensive lines look like fucking cheesecloth.
I can't wait to see what they do against Kenny Pickett on Monday.
Kenny Pickett's in for a world of hurt. Now, I will say this. Did you see J.J. Watt breaking down Miles on McAfee at all?
I did not.
Miles was acting like he was doing a crossover dribble. And by the way, who's the defensive coordinator again? Jim Schwartz?
Yep.
He had Miles lined up on the nose a few times. Fucking brilliant.
Yeah, because the thing is you don't gain anything a lot of the times by collapsing the pocket on the edge. You basically rattle a quarterback by getting in his face, by moving the front of the pocket up.
Did you see Geno Smith?
I did not.
They had Geno mic'd up. Aaron Donald broke through the line. You hear Geno go, "Oh my God," and he threw the ball away.
I saw like one of those things off to the side on YouTube that said like Aaron Donald scares Geno Smith, but I didn't get a chance to watch it. So now I know what it is. Because it was getting a lot of run. But yeah, I mean, Miles got his sack. The secondary looked. You're going to see the Browns probably in a lot of nickel packages this year, and maybe kind of go to a 4-2-5. But if you're running those 4 guys on the front 4, meaning Miles, Okoronkwo, Zadarius, and Tomlinson, look the hell out.
They're going to be phenomenal.
You can drop your receivers. You can drop your linebackers maybe into zone coverage because you got all the pass rush you need right there.
Yeah, but now I will say this. That's all the pass rush you need against Cincinnati and against Pittsburgh. But if you look at their schedule, if they get teams with better offensive lines and they took a hit on theirs, they're in a world of hurt. Now, flipping the script on the ball, Nick Chubb again, over 100 yards. Phenomenal game for Nick Chubb.
Quietest running back in football. He had
the best running back in football.
106 yards, and nobody talked about it until after he broke it.
Yeah, that's because no one needs to talk about it. He does it every friggin' week.
Right.
But I'll say this. If they can't protect Captain Pudding Pop, they're not going to win any games.
Yeah, let's see what the rookie does against TJ this week.
Yeah, and dude, he's in trouble.
Although he looked pretty good going up against Hutchinson on Sunday.
He did. Oh wait, this is DeJuan Jones you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking of somebody else. No, DeJuan Jones, I think he'll be fine.
A lot of people are saying he did very well, and if he works on his foot speed, he could be an elite tackle in this league.
Dude, as a freshman, he was going up against Chase Young every day.
Yeah.
Well, he got cleared today. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did.
So I fully expect the Browns to go to 2-0 because Pittsburgh is god-awful.
I could see the Browns going into there's something about me because after this they get Tennessee, Baltimore, and then San Francisco. Could I see a scenario where the Browns go into the bye week because they got one of the earlier bye weeks in the league this year? They could go in 4-1.
I would say don't say 5-0. San Francisco's going to take them to the fucking cleaners.
I mean, well, that San Francisco game I want to say also is a Monday night or a Sunday night. It's a primetime game.
Yeah, it's a primetime game. I will tell you this. A 4-2-5 is not going to cover Deebo Samuel well.
I completely agree. But could it also be something where they could give San Francisco a lot bigger of a game than you think? If they're going into that game 4-0 and they've got that level of pass rush on the front 7, could they rattle Brock Purdy's cage a little bit?
Yes, they could. The question is that pass rush going to bite them and they're going to hit them with screens to McCaffrey all night?
Yeah, I could actually see that, but but I don't. As good as McCaffrey is, I also don't think he's outrunning some of the speed in the Browns secondary to break the big one.
You don't need to if you're going to use a screen game like San Diego used to use years ago with Tomlinson
With LT,
as
yeah,
part of the running game. As part of the running game,
yeah.
because now you're playing keep away.
But
And let's be honest.
Let's also make sure that CMC stays healthy long enough, even though last year he did play a full 17 for the first time in his career.
Agreed. Well, last year was also the first time they played 17 games.
Right, but it's still the first time he actually played a full season.
That's true. So now let's digress a little bit. Let's talk about this week again, because you and I can go about the San Francisco game for weeks.
Right, we've got 4 weeks until that happens.
The only thing I can see happening that would cause the Browns to lose this game is if Pittsburgh fired the first salvo and then just decided to turn around and hand the ball off, because they're still not a great run stuffing defensive line. Didn't say they're not good. I said they're not great. And a great back like a Najee Harris, if you can get momentum, that O-line will start blocking for the running back, and now it opens up everything. Because you've got to bring the 8th guy down in the box.
Yeah.
And then Kenny Pickett, who is not the greatest, but he's still good enough with Pickens on the outside. Denzel can't cover him all night.
Well, let Pickens call them elves and see what happens, because Jamar fucked around and found out.
Jamar fucked around, and his offensive line helped him find out. Please don't do that.
No, he fucked around and found out. The best 1-2 receiver tandem was limited to 5 catches for 33 yards on 17 targets.
Jesus. Those are Darrelle Revis numbers. You do understand that, right?
I completely agree, but Cam Hayward's out. Deontay Johnson is probably not going to play. Ogunjobi's questionable. I mean, if you're looking at the Browns injury list, Juwan Thornhill's probably going to play. Shelby Harris could be ready as well. Jed Wills is questionable, but there's also a lot of people saying, could they actually end up cutting Jed Wills before too long, as bad as he's been?
Yeah, though, that may need to happen. And listen, if DeJuan Jones plays against TJ really well, leave him in. Real quick, Acuna left the game with calf tightness tonight.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, not good. So yeah, Monday night will be.
But they've already won the division at that particular point. Give him as much rest as he wants up until the playoffs. You don't need him until then.
No, I agree. So an interesting week in the NFL. I think the 2 big games. Really, we talked about Kansas City and Jacksonville. Excuse me. The other big one, honestly, as far as the AFC goes, Chargers and Tennessee.
That's going to be very, very interesting, because you're looking at 2 teams that just a couple of years ago, completely opposite directions. That Tennessee was the team ready to challenge, and it was the Chargers just after Herbert got there with all the potential. Now the roles are reversed, because Tennessee's almost in kind of a rebuild mode, so to speak, but still could actually challenge Jacksonville. Remember, went down to the final week of this season last year in essentially a tiebreaker to get in week 17. And then Jacksonville got it done late. But you got Tennessee, who right now it's basically the same team from last year, adding DeAndre Hopkins, but the quarterback position is such in flux right now.
No, I agree with you on the quarterback position. I will say this, though, about Tennessee, and I want to pose this question to you. Did they win last week?
I do not believe so. I'm pulling it up right now. Tennessee lost to New Orleans 16-15.
Okay. Tennessee's got the Saints, the Chargers, then the Browns, then the Bengals. When's the trade deadline in the NFL?
I want to say week 9. I want to say it's usually the end of October or first part of November.
7, 8, 9. It's November 12th. If they're under 500 by the trade deadline, is Derrick Henry getting traded?
I don't think Derrick Henry's getting traded, but I think they actually at that point pull the string and go to Will Levis full time. Because I think Malik Willis is the odd man out. I think he's done.
I do too. Here's another one for you then. If they go to Levis, do they pull this other string and trade DeAndre Hopkins?
Possibly to a contender. You might be able to get a 2 for him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, at that point in the year, let's also see what it looks like. I mean, if he's having, a very decent year, but they're not going anywhere, somebody might actually want to trade and maybe give him a 1.
It'll be a late one, if anything.
He would probably. I mean, yeah, he would definitely be at that point. He would be going to a contender where you can get a back end 1 for him. I certainly don't see him if he does get moved for a 1 or even a 2. I don't think it's going to be somewhere where somebody else controls that pick.
Yeah, no, it's going to end up being scary.
It'll
Kansas
be a
City.
true 1 or a true 2. Yeah.
Yeah, scary Kansas City. Less scary is one of the West Coast teams, depending on how good they're doing, whether it's Seattle or somebody like that.
Right.
Speaking of, I sent you the video of Geno Smith, by the way.
I will look at that when we go off.
Look at that later. So let's get to Monday. Let's get to a little more reaction from last week. So I'm going to ask you a serious question, and you are as big a Bills fan as I've met, and we'll close the NFL on this.
Okay.
What the hell are the Bills going to do? Because this dude is starting to turn the ball over like he's Daniel Jones.
I think Dan Orlovsky said it best on ESPN a couple of days ago, where he said, if you're Brian Beane, if you're the front office, if you're the coaching staff, you need to sit him down and say, yes, we understand that you're great. Yes, we understand that you're going to be able to make great plays. Yes, we understand that you're a top 5 quarterback in terms of talent right now, but you're not playing at that level because you're trying to go out and win the game in the first quarter on a 3rd down and 5 throw. You need to grow up. Let's look at all 3 of those interceptions, and you saw the highlights.
I did.
2 of them were deep balls into double coverage where the free safety was still coming over the top. And then the 3rd one was on a crossing route that he threw it into. He tried to thread it between 3 defenders. The fumble, I'll give. All 3 of those interceptions were on him.
Yeah, but that's decision making.
No-time throws. They were bad decisions, and the timing was there. The receivers were there, but he was basically trying to put the game away already.
You'd think they'd had that conversation with him when they signed him to the big contract.
I think at this particular point, he goes, what's to say he doesn't go out there and, yeah, they're an 8-point favorite against the Raiders in their home opener this week.
I don't understand.
But, well, I think they're going to be out looking for blood after last week with the way that they let that one opener. Well, let's also be honest. The Bills at home against a Raider team that is in a state of flux, and let's be honest, might be challenging Denver for the low end of that division right now.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a big game.
All signs point to Buffalo going out and winning this game comfortably. But
yeah,
if he goes out and commits 2-3 more turnovers, I don't think you have a choice that you've got to sit him down and have this conversation with him. He doesn't check the ball down, Mike.
I know he doesn't check the ball down, Jim.
He locks in. Stephon Diggs got 10 catches for 103 yards, but he also targeted him 17 times in that game.
Gee, Jim, he's a one-read quarterback, kind of like they keep saying Ohio State kids are.
Arguably, yeah, neither here nor there. But the difference is that Josh Allen is a franchise quarterback and arguably one of the 5 best quarterbacks in all of football right now, and making the same decisions as untested and unproven rookies. No offense.
No, I was not trying to offend either side on that, but he's basically making the mistakes they say quarterbacks from Ohio State make. You lock on your first read, and that's all you do. I agree with you. He's doing that, especially since they got Diggs. The other thing, too, is when we were talking about this last week with Alex, this is what I was worried about with them in this game. And yes, I picked the Jets. It was the home opener. It was September 11th. It was Aaron Rodgers' first game. Dude, the Jets lost the only reason people thought they were going to go anywhere this year, and he handed them the game. And didn't their kicker hit the upright to send it to overtime?
Oh, I believe
It went in.
Yeah, I believe Brandon Bass did, because Brandon Bass, Tyler Bass. Tyler Bass typically doesn't miss wide. If he's going to miss, at least from that distance, he's going to hit an upright. Tyler Bass is one of the more accurate kickers in football.
Yeah, well, he hit the upright and it went in, and that's the only reason they got to overtime.
Yeah.
Then they get stuffed on the first possession, and the kid takes the kickback. That's rough. That's just rough to me.
I mean, honestly, outside of maybe the Deshaun Jackson punt return and then the block field goal for a touchdown, it might have been one of the worst walk-offs I've seen in overtime in a ton of years.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you.
Because the Pisarcek one was late in the fourth quarter.
That's right. Yeah, the Deshaun Watson one, the second miracle at the Meadowlands. Poor Giants fans. Don't care.
They've got 3 Super Bowls. They get no sympathy.
They've got 4. Parcells won 2.
I thought Parcells only won 1. I thought he won in 85 over the Bills.
No, that was 90.
2 against Brady.
No, that was 90 with the Bills. He was the first one to beat Elway. That's who the Browns would have played had the drive never happened.
I keep forgetting about that one. I always forget about that one.
Yeah, so that was the.
Yeah, because if you don't follow it close enough, those are the 3 that you always remember. It's the 2 against Brady and wide left, or I'm sorry, wide right.
The first one should be remembered. That's when Phil Simms set the record for best completion percentage in a Super Bowl. I think he went 22 of like 25 that night.
Something like that.
He destroyed Denver's defense. But yeah, no, I don't have any sympathy for him either. But no one should take that kind of ass whooping. Well, then again, last time I saw a team get beat 40-0, it was Peyton Manning.
You cut that meat alone.
Oh boy! So let's get to the one that the game that I'm excited for this coming weekend, and that's a college game. Even though there are no really good fucking games.
Yeah, there's
Michigan's playing Bowling Green. Florida State's got a conference game against BC. Texas against Wyoming. Ohio State, Western Kentucky. Penn State against Illinois. Garbage. Is Michigan State? Notre Dame's playing who? Central Michigan.
Yep.
Jesus Christ, Notre Dame play a team.
The Florida game is the highlight of the week, and it's still not going to be a very good game.
No. It's not. No, the highlight of the week is not that game. Let's talk about the highlight. Let's talk about the game of the week. And let's talk about number 18 Colorado against Colorado State.
Get the hell out of here. I blogged about this earlier
I
today.
know you did. That's why I said it.
He's going to go. This game's going to be over. I said it on the blog. I said it on. I said it on my YouTube show earlier today. He's going to go out and they're going to lay 40 or 50 out there, but then he's going to get slapped across the face the next 2 weeks because then he's got to go. Then he has to. He's got you. He's got the Ducks and the Trojans the next 2 weeks.
I think they beat one of the two. I think they're going to split, and I think they're going to win in Oregon.
The Pac-12 is so strong that they're only 2 games in, and they only have 4 teams left on their schedule who aren't ranked.
No, I know. The Pac-12 is the deepest conference this year.
And tomorrow is one of them.
Especially with, I'm going to say this, and people are going to look at me funny if they ever hear me say it, but I'm going to say it, with Alabama falling off the map. That team's not beating LSU. That team may not beat Auburn. No, I listen, Colorado's going to smoke Colorado State this week. I think they win next week. I really do. I think Oregon is a great team. There is just something about Deion Sanders and the way he breaks down him and his coordinators, the way they break down a game plan. Because they did everything. They knew it was going to be ugly against Nebraska until they got rolling. And they did everything they could to keep that game close. And then all of a sudden, they made the adjustments at halftime and the offense took off.
I researched it earlier. I think they're going to Eugene, and if that's the case, I don't see them having a prayer in this game.
No, I think they can win in Eugene. I think they're the one thing that historically defenses for Oregon have a problem with. Multiple weapons, a good running game, and a defense that can put pressure on the quarterback.
I will say this much. What if they do go into Eugene and win that game, and then in 2 weeks we've got Shadur versus Caleb on national television?
If they win in Eugene, and by the way, let me go back to one thing real quick. Oregon has a problem with teams that can cover in the secondary. I'd say with Shiloh and Travis Hunter, they can cover in the secondary. I didn't mean Patrick. I'm sorry. That was wrong. Oregon always puts out great offensive linemen. If they win in Eugene, automatically the biggest game of the year right now, Pac-12. Automatically. Because guess what? That game's going to determine the Heisman.
I mean, it's a 12-team league, and they've got 8 teams in there right now, and the lowest is 24.
I know.
Even Wazoo's in there, and I mean, the 2 teams that are the odd men out in that conference right now, as I talked about in the blog last week, are ranked. One of them, one of them's at 24, and the other one I want to say is like 16.
Yeah, no, they're playing great
with the Clemson transfer of all person, DJ Gungala.
I made a Carl Spackler reference at work today.
Well, Mr. Gopher. Yeah, I gotta pull stuff for that for next week.
Going back to Oregon, is Bo Nix going to Bo Nix? Because if that's the case, he's throwing 3 picks.
Yeah, but this isn't actually him being overhyped in Auburn. I mean, he's got, let's also remember after he transferred, even though Cristobal wasn't there, it's still primarily Cristobal's system to be able to get those things corrected. He didn't have that down. He didn't have that at Auburn.
No, he didn't have that at Auburn. But if you look at the games he's lost at Oregon, that's what he's done. He's been Bo Nix. He's thrown the ball to the other team. With ball hawks in the secondary for Colorado, that's not going to be an easy game for Bo Nix to win. Caleb will have an easier time with that defense because of Caleb's skill set. But USC's defense has not been tested yet. And looking at their schedule, I don't think USC's defense is going to be tested until they play Oregon or Colorado, excuse me. So that's going to be interesting. Like I said, Texas, Ohio State. Washington is going to Sparty.
No, that's in Olympia.
That's in Seattle. Okay. Oregon's got Hawaii. Come on, play a game for God's sake. Oregon State will miss.
I'm interested. For me, I'm very interested in that Kansas State Mizzou fan as a Missouri fan, even though Missouri hasn't really played anyone. The fact that K-State's only a 3.5-point favorite against a Mizzou team that has played very, very poor competition, that's begging right now.
It is. No one's really played anybody though, Jim. No one's played anybody. You had the outside of Texas, Alabama. Who's played a good game?
Yeah, I understand that, but also some of these teams have played a couple of conference games already. I mean, that one's, that's Big 12 versus, SEC in that game, but Mizzou has played like typically teams you would find not qualifying for bowl games, and Missouri might be one of the worst, football teams in the SEC, but if they win this game, I think they're going to get ranked. Especially with this game in Columbia.
It's a possibility.
Think of what we saw back in week 1. Colorado was not ranked. They beat number 17 or number 18 TCU. They vaulted into the top 25. You've got an unranked Mizzou team that's 2-0. If they hold serve and knock off a 15, they'll get in.
Depending on what else happens at the bottom. Yeah, I think you're right.
Well, you got to figure Washington State playing, Northern Colorado, they're going to fall off. UCLA in that game, I can't playing against a 1AA, they could fall off. Unless Iowa goes out and covers that 29-point spread against Western Michigan, I could see them getting bumped out.
I cannot wait till next weekend. Just because it's going to be a marquee game.
Next week, we finally start to see, because realistically, all conference or all non-conference is going to be done. I mean, again, you're going to have the outliers.
Except for the SEC cupcake games, yeah.
Some of the Big 12 schools, scheduling those cupcakes, right at the end, right before their rivalry games. But this is pretty much it. After this, then the conference schedule ramps up, and this is where then we get a heavy hitter every week.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Of course, just a reminder to everybody, we will come to you live next Saturday at 9 o'clock on the Wise Guys channel, where we will be live reacting to the second half of the Ohio State Notre Dame game. Hopefully it's not a night where I want to end it with a lot of liquor.
Yeah, somebody's going to be very upset when that show ends.
I won't be upset. Again, I told you last week, I'm expecting him to lose a game or two just because of all the changes.
What are you texting me?
Wasn't texting you. I didn't have the volume up high enough.
Ah.
I don't want to wake the kid up.
That's why you have the headphones in, and I can drive you crazy with them.
That's very true. Yeah. That's the hockey coach.
Yep.
Who talks about his dead wife Barb all the time.
I promise I will probably, since with the writer's strike, where like most of the shows that we watch are probably not going to start until after the first of the year at this point. But I'm I'm trying to speed run through the first 4 seasons, or I should say the first 5 seasons of The Rookie, and then I promise I'm going to find some way to start working in on Letterkenny.
Dude, when you come down here, if you haven't started yet, you're starting while you're down here.
Fair enough.
And I will start it over. I still have to get past the one episode. The one episode where the Mennonite talks about the sausage party and everything is just dirty. Dude, it's bad. Like, I can't get through the episode because I'm laughing so hard.
It just, although, when am I going to find time to do that, especially with Mortal Kombat 1 dropping yesterday? So good.
Is it?
I've already
Did you get the Van Damme thing?
I've probably played 15, 20 matches as JCVD already.
Oh, you created your character?
You can't really create, but but if you bought the Premier edition, like I did for the $110 or whatever it was, I got you get the Jean-Claude Van Damme skin, and it's him doing the voiceover instead of Johnny Cage.
That's hilarious.
It's Megan Fox is voicing Natara. I think I covered this in a previous episode, but Kelly Hu's in it. She's voicing 3 characters. They've got the first combat pack is going to be that I can't think of what network it's on. The Boys.
That's on Prime.
Okay, so Homelander's in it, and it's the actual actor. Omni-Man's in it, and it's actually voiced by J.K. Simmons, and Peacemaker's in it, and it's actually voiced by Juan Chena.
Wow.
So I can't. And they actually got Dave Bautista to do one of the commercials. Remember the original 90s commercial where everyone was running on the streets yelling Mortal Kombat?
I saw that.
They redid that with Batista.
I saw that. That's pretty cool.
So
that is pretty cool.
The game is just so. I mean, even on the Switch, it doesn't look as great as it could, but damn, is it good.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
The hardest thing for me is not so much learning the game, because I'm actually still playing a little bit of 11, try to actually clear everything out, and then just completely get it out of the way and move into, 12 or 1 as it's formally called, but it's like, the hell was that? But it's so goddamn good, and yet I still won't play online.
Yeah, I don't play anything online anymore. I mean, I'm signed in online to like the servers, but I don't play against people online.
Yeah.
I think the last game I played like that online was against my godson on the show 21, maybe. And because I'm the idiot who uses his own character, even in Diamond Dynasty, and he sends me a text because we're playing, and for whatever reason on the show, on the older ones, you couldn't talk to people. You couldn't talk smack like you can on Madden. He sends me a text and he goes, "Are you seriously using your own character to pitch against me?" Yeah.
I think for me right now with MK1, the hardest thing is trying to stay off of YouTube, at least with the channels that I watch, because now the people like me, because the actual game itself doesn't come out until Tuesday, but if you got the Premier Edition, everyone got it yesterday for that. And if you bought the Premier Edition, you get the DLC packs a week before everyone else, and they're basically already paid for. So I have like the first 6 DLC packs already paid for out the chute here. And it's like, but now I'm already starting to see compilations of character endings or like compilations of character fatalities. It's like, let me do them myself first,
Yeah, I did the same thing with the show when I got the Derek Jeter edition, not the Jazz Chisholm one. And same thing. The DLCs came out earlier. Your roster updates happened a couple days before everybody else's. So yeah, no,
sometimes it's just worth, plopping down the extra 30, 40, $50, whatever it is, just to be able to get it,
Yeah, and then this one was pretty cool because the trade deadline happened in real time. So
That's
if you had that edition, like I signed on deadline day at night before the thing was over. Scherzer was already on the Rangers. Verlander was already on the Astros. They'd already done the live roster update.
especially with a sports game, something like that. It's almost not even so much a rite of passage, but it's almost a requirement that you got to do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends how hardcore you are. I mean, this year I was able to do that, so I did it. I don't know if I'll be able to do it next year.
Yeah,
But, yeah.
I think it also kind of bases it, at least for the sports franchises, you know, if you're going to play it, how much are you yeah, exactly, like you were saying, if you're hardcore like that. And I think it's really based off of how big of a season are you playing. Are you going to play the full 162? Are you going to play a 30? Or are you going to play a 50, etc.? And I think that really is going to determine exactly how hardcore you want to get with your rosters.
Yeah, no, with me it's more because I do Road to the Show, where you create your character and you start drafted. You know, that I usually run one where it's the Mets, shocker, and then I'll do one where I'll go here, pick a team, and I'll try and get to the big leagues through there. The one I'm currently doing is started with the Mets, went through the 6 years, and became a free agent. And yeah, I went to Texas. I was DeGrom. I went to Texas. So, but anyway, so now let me ask you this: do you really think is Dion going to drop 50 on Colorado State just to be a dick?
I have a feeling he's going to do it to prove a point. It's because let's be completely honest. Jay Norvell was doing it to for a sound bite. He was looking to make a story because he knows his team's going to get hammered. But I also brought this up in the blog, and let me know what you think about this. And I don't know if you read it yet, but
I haven't had a chance to know.
I think Jay Norvell at Colorado State is in a position that Dion wants to be in or is trying to aspire to, because Norvell turned around a Nevada program that was historically putrid and got them to 4 bowl games in 5 years. Now, granted, Colorado State has not had a winning season since 2017. He's been there 2 years. He was 3-9 last year, and they're already 0-2 this year and expected to finish on the lower third in the Mountain West, which ironically enough, how hilarious is this going to be that they're playing a Pac-12 team and could end up finding themselves absorbed into the Pac-12 next year, ironically enough, after everything shifts around. But I think it's something that Norvell's found a way to take a program that was down in the dumps like Nevada and turn them around, and is hoping to do the same with Colorado State, I should say. And Coach Prime is trying to do the same thing for a Colorado team that really has not been very good in the last 5 years and has already got them off to a really good start. But then let's actually see where this goes, because now for realistically, again, outside of 3 games against Colorado State tomorrow, I want to say they've got Arizona State, and Stanford as the only unranked teams. So they're going to be running into heavy hitters the rest of the year.
They are. And I will say this. Coach Prime elevated a conference with what he did at the SWAC at Jackson State. He's already turned the Colorado program around, this year notwithstanding, because of his name and the way, and not just his name, the way his team has come out and played in the first 2 weeks. Jim, second week in a row, Colorado is where Big Noon Saturday is. Game day's there. McAfee's there.
You're not going to like this, and I'm going to pose the question anyway. Have we seen another coach come out this early in the season and draw this much attention since Harbaugh got on campus in 2015?
No, we haven't. No, we haven't. And again, it's a different narrative. Harbaugh's narrative was NFL coach who went to a Super Bowl, goes home to his alma mater. That wasn't like this. That was, Harbaugh's going to bring Michigan back. He's going to do this. It took him 9 years, but let's not move. Let's digress. Harbaugh was the last one. Agreed. And before Harbaugh was Urban. And before Urban, it was Saban. So now you've got Coach Prime in that same, that echelon of coaches.
I was just thinking echelon. I mean, it's a little early to crown him in that, as having the same level of success. Again, just 2 games into a division
Not success.
career, but in terms of the hype factor, absolutely.
In terms of the pedigree too. I mean, his pedigree speaks for itself. When it comes to recruiting, he's walking in there with a gold jacket on and dropping Super Bowl rings.
Right. I mean, we didn't get this much when Lane Kiffin went to 6 or 7 different schools. We didn't see this when, Brian Kelly showed up at Notre Dame. We didn't see this when Sark took over at Texas. We didn't see this when Lincoln Riley left one blue blood and went to another,
See, Lincoln Riley's house got broken into again in Oklahoma.
Grow up, people.
Exactly. The guy made a move for his family. Leave him alone. Speaking of making a move for family, can we jump off college football now since the rest of the games aren't really that great?
Right. Yeah, we got all next week to talk about. How are we actually going to fit in a show when we're watching those games next week?
Well, I figure we're going to react to stuff for the Buckeye game. And I'm going to be on the Lakes. I'm going to be on Peacock, and you're going to be on regular TV.
Yeah. Ironically enough, I actually got Spectrum back about 2 hours before the Monday nighter.
Yeah, and I saw when they did that. It's because Disney knew better. But speaking of back in the family, Tristan Thompson, welcome home. They're going to use him the way they used Deli in 2019. He is not there to start. He is not there to be anything other than the strong arm veteran presence that both Evan Mobley and Jared Allen need. They're going to use him like they did. Deli didn't play in 2019 at Darius Garland's rookie year. When did Deli play?
He's going to be more Kendrick Perkins than anything. He's going to be, I don't want to say he's going to go out and strong arm guys and cause fights and everything, but he's basically there. The only reason he was brought back is not even so much to be in the rotation. They signed him because they needed to add one extra contract player of a veteran stature to that roster before opening night.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I think you're 100% right on this. But what Tristan can bring may be invaluable to those two players.
I'm still not buying it. It's a nice move. He'll get a nice ovation, like when I was there last year and they honored Anderson at halftime and everything. Made him an ambassador for the team and everything. I think there's so many different ways they could have gone with it. Yeah, it's nice that he's coming back for the 1 year or whatnot, but he's not going to play the entire year.
No, he's not.
They're gonna move him or they're gonna cut him,
or they're gonna keep him on the roster to just be that guy that's gonna work with those two down the stretch. Here's the thing, though, too. I think the losing to the Knicks the way they did kind of spooked this front office. They knew they needed somebody who could be a thug if they needed him to. He fits the bill. His Nick Cannon impersonation notwithstanding.
Yeah, and there's a Kanye West joke in here somewhere.
Wrong sister.
I understand that, but it's still like part of the extended family.
There's a Lamar Odom joke in there too.
Morons.
Oh God.
Resistance.
I saw a fake Dune poster, and it was Matt LeBlanc as Joey. How you doing?
I was almost going to put that on here.
Oh, that would be good. Especially when we start talking about the female wrestlers.
Because remember, they made a shirt out of it.
Out of what?
Chin up, tits out. Watch for the shoe.
The shoe.
They made a shirt out of it.
I just think of the Austin Powers movie. Who throws a shoe? Honestly.
Good God.
Yeah, great oodly moodly. Oh, well, we have hit the 2-hour mark, Jim. I think there's only one thing left to do.
There is, because I got a wedding in a little over 12 hours, just slightly over, but
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Yakety Sax means only one thing. It's our final segment of the show. It is the Wisey Translator. It is when James and I take a name in or out of the sports world, give it to the other one, and come up with the first thing that pops into our head after the dulcet tones of the late 90s dial-up modem. We have had many examples of hilarity and or stupidity coming out of the Wisey Translator, as in last week when Joe Burrow got a new last name. Or that, dude, you threw me off so bad. I had the dumbest look on my face, and that's saying something.
it turned into an OTR clip.
Yeah, it did. Joe Lashinsky. The fuck? No, what turned into the OTR clip is when he gave me Frank the Tank.
That was just... And the fact that I threw Jim Nance into that.
Yeah, that was disrespect.
That was... I'd love to go back and maybe look at them side by side and try to figure out which one broke Alex more, that or Scissor Me Daddy Ass.
At the end, yes. Brett Michaels. Yeah. So, James, I have one for you that I'd like to start the proceedings with, if I could, please.
I was just gonna say it all is right with the world because you were leading off the translator tonight. I was so out of place.
Nice.
A tradition like any other. Speaking of Jim Nance,
Yeah, right. So return to glory. Here we go. Jim, your first name in the Wisey Translator is Josh Allen.
hey, Philip Rivers, I got a couple of questions for you.
Don't ask Philip Rivers those questions. He'd end up with like 15 kids.
Josh Allen's wife ain't nothing to sneeze at, but
I thought he was dating Haley Steinfeld, the chick from Hawkeye. Bro, you've got to stop the shenanigans with that.
remember wasn't she also in the second Pitch Perfect movie?
Second and third.
I never saw the third one yet.
The third one has a really good ending to it.
That's what I've heard.
She does a vocal remix and does Freedom 90 by George Michael.
I hate that song.
Dude, I'm not a huge fan of that song either.
Especially after he got us banned.
Yeah, the son of a bitch. Fucking Putin. There's one you should.
God! No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Jim, there's one we got to put on there. Just record me going, fucking Putin.
Ooh, I got a good combo.
Listen to me,
Just drop the mic.
Oh, you see what I did there?
Stop.
I
Just
linked them
fucking
together.
stop. Yeah, I know you did. You're fucking killing me.
Yeah, I will actually. Hopefully, I'll have the new translator intro cut for next week, or at the very worst, the week after. Because are we really going to be able to do it next week with the live react?
No, we can do the translator. I think the translator's got to be something we do every week. So, what do you got for me, bud?
Michael, your first name in the YZ translator tonight. You hit me below the belt. I'm going to go a little low on you. Ron Rodgers.
I know he's popular, but a Brad Pitt impersonation 4 plays into the season?
The guy is drunk, but there he goes.
He's the only one I know that played Achilles.
What was I listening to? I don't remember if it was Olbermann, and they said like they were joking that he was actually going to like go into some hole. Oh, it was that I can't think of his name, but the guy who does all the hilarious like roundtable TikTok memes that we watch, like the guy who does like the Madden. Yeah. He was joking that Rodgers was going to go into like a dark, secluded space and, like pray to the god of Poseidon and everything. It's like, wait, you're going to pray to a god and it's not going to be Achilles?
This is what I'm talking about here.
I can't get enough of that guy this week. By the way, we know it's football when all is right with the world that the Annie Agar league meetings are now back on Tuesdays.
Oh, good.
She got everyone this week, and did she let Burrow and Pickett have it.
Good.
Browns fan or not, Clevelander, we loved it. It was fun. It was kind of funny, and I even put this out on Threads, that Britt Baker came out on AEW dressed in like Steeler colors and everything, and they were in Cincinnati and said that the Cincinnati fans probably don't like, don't like Cleveland this week. And like Taz said something going in on Cincinnati like that with that. And it's like, they probably don't like Britt, because she's wearing the colors of her beloved Steelers. And I'm like, and I just put out there, it's like, yeah, neither one of their defenses showed up. Who fucking cares? Fuck them both.
Never mind their defenses. Neither one of their O-line showed up either.
Say what you want about Bill. We could care less right now.
Yeah, no.
Even if Bill's a quarterback, if the Browns win that division, there's still going to be a part of you that's going to be like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Again,
shove it at the other three.
I will be happy for the fan base. I will be happy to tell Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Cincinnati to sit and spin. It's going to be very hollow to me, Jim. It just is. It's just going to be. It's going to suck. So James, I do have a second name for you. And I'm going to baseball for this. And it's not a person, it's an entity. Jim, your second entry into the Wisey Translator is the last place New York Yankees.
How many more can I get in here? We can keep it rolling.
You big dummy.
Oh shit.
That'll be our most colorful entry.
Yeah, how funny is that?
Just absolutely. And the fact that they could still finish above 500 and still almost finish 20 games out is hilarious.
I will say this: that kid that got hurt, the one they brought up, that needs Tommy John. That's sad. You don't want to ever see that, no matter what team it is. But yeah, I had to hit them with that.
How hilarious to pile on was it that all the shit that David Wells has taken the last day or two?
And he's not wrong. I hate David Wells. He's not wrong.
The tape over the Nike logo for being woke because he says they're too woke?
No, not that. The way he talked about the Yankee players. He ain't wrong.
He ain't wrong, but I mean, I'm focusing in on the Nike shit.
Oh, he's fucking stupid.
Yeah, because he's Captain Red Ass.
No, that was Paul LaDuca.
Or Randy Johnson.
No, David Wells. I can't. I don't like discussing bottom feeders on this show that aren't one of our teams.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
Why aren't you going to say it? Come on.
Keep your mouth shut.
Butha, you need to keep it chill.
Because we talked about him for 20 minutes earlier tonight. We were talking about bottom feeders and
yes.
Michael.
James.
Your second name in the Wisey Translator tonight. Speaking of bottom feeders, Max Scherzer.
To paraphrase the iconic Cameron Fry, Billy Epler, you're my hero.
Oh, God, do we actually have to have another wise ass episode where we just do nothing but quote, not even sports movies, but just quote like Spaceballs and Blazing Saddles and Ferris Bueller?
There are so many things going on in the sports world right now that we could have another wise ass episode, quote all those movies, and do exactly what I just did.
Favorite scene from a movie, regardless of how many times you watch it, still makes you bust up laughing every single time you see it, even if you've worn out DVDs or VHS tapes.
When Alex Karras punches the fucking horse.
Very good choice.
Or, well, there's that one. And that's really, and of course I stick the sports thing on it with what we're doing. But there's that one. There's, oh, geez.
To get in there close and find out of a crime through the Vatican. No. Hey, where are the white women at?
Every single time. So those two scenes in that movie, or his speech. You men will only be risking your lives, whilst I will be risking an almost certain nomination for Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor.
Yep.
there's so many. I mean, Spaceballs, it's the scene where he drops the statue on Barf's foot.
Upsy Mozzie, upsy woozy, upsy daisy.
What's the one in Robin Hood Men in Tights? A black sheriff? Yeah, why not? It worked in Blazing Saddles.
For me, hands down, and I got to keep it together. Now what? Stupid ad.
Ad.
I think I may need a kidney transplant.
Shit.
Excuse me.
Think you'll be alive this weekend?
Every time he looks back at the camera doing that, I'm done. I think I probably cost my parents $50 in having to replace VHS tapes wearing that thing out when I was in school.
Oh, absolutely. What's the other one that gets me every time? That one, it's just Cameron. Just Cameron gets me every time in that movie. What's the other one? Oh, come on, dude. I did my top. Oh, I'm trying to listen to the anthem from Slapshot.
All right, you guys. I run a clean game here, and if I have anything from any of you, I'll suspend you. I'm listening to the fucking song.
Yeah.
They brought their fucking toys with them.
That and The Sting are my two favorite Paul Newman movies.
Gotta be for me, The Color of Money.
I've only seen it once. And you have to remember, I'm not the biggest Tom Cruise fan. Pete Mitchell and Jerry Maguire are the only two characters I've ever really liked that he played.
Oh, come on. Cole Trickle?
I honestly, I've never seen Days of Thunder. Don't look at me like that. You haven't seen the fucking Goonies. Son of a bitch.
That's 3.
Jackass. And then there's like if I had to pick
that one too.
If I had to pick sports movies where it does that to me, obviously the boardroom into the spring training scene in Major League.
This guy here is dead.
Cross him off then. Most of these guys are way past their prime. Most of these guys never had a prime. See, I can't see Tito being Charlie Donovan. And then in the second one, anything with fucking Rube in the second one. I got kicked in the balls by a mule. And my balls hurt really bad.
Where he starts reciting off the
Victoria's Secret
catalog at the plate.
No. When he's sitting there talking to Rick, he goes, "You know what happened a couple days after that?
My mama died.
Mama died.
After that,
I didn't care about my balls hurt anymore." Do you understand? No.
Very underrated part of that movie. That ball wouldn't have been out of most parks. Name one.
Yellowstone. You know that was a holdover joke from the first movie?
Yeah.
That was supposed to be done in the scene where they're in the bar in Milwaukee and the guy asks Rick for his autograph. He goes, "You made their hall of shame." Doesn't matter if you're colorful.
Yeah.
There's two other ones, And then Necessary Roughness. Rob Schneider as the play-by-play guy is hilarious.
Yes.
And it's not funny per se. No, it is funny. The Mound Visit.
From Bull Durham, of course.
Yep. The Natural Disaster. And I don't know why. But the scene where Kevin Costner walks up behind Tim Robbins and he's trying to put the negligee on, he slaps him on the ass. I don't know why that made me laugh so hard. The rose goes in the front. I don't know why I laugh so hard at that, but every single time.
Underrated line from Necessary Roughness is where Kathy Ireland kicks that guy right in the junk.
Welcome to football.
Balls. I'm sorry. If it's 1993, 94 when that movie comes out and you're an actor even with a bit part and you get and it's in the script that Kathy Ireland kicks you in the balls, you are asking the director for 25 takes.
Do you know who had the best bit part in that movie? Jason Bateman. What was the name of the defensive player, the samurai?
God, I haven't seen that movie in 20 years. When we talked about this about a month or two ago, I had to look it up on IMDb at the time.
Oh, Scott Bakula was awesome in that movie.
Dwayne Cash's pride.
He will always be Dr. Samuel Beckett.
Although, not for nothing, now that we're talking Necessary Roughness, vastly overlooked and classic spoof movie National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1.
First of all, let's start here with this one, and we'll go the last few minutes about this. Loaded Weapon 1 has the second funniest interaction between family members I've ever seen in film.
I loved you in Wall Street.
That's from
Hot Shots.
Hot Shots. The second one. When Emilio and Charlie take turns looking at each other when Charlie plays the friggin' valet for the car.
Yes.
Hilarious.
Yes. And then they all start blowing up afterwards.
Do you have these in taupe? No taupe. Kiwi Chetty. Dude, I love that film. I love that. Samuel L. Jackson is hilarious in that film.
Oh, man.
When Dennis Miller and William Shatner get into the quote off at the beginning.
Yeah. The whole the entire scene where he comes home and Kathy Ireland's in there, like reenacting the Lethal Weapon scene, the butt against the moonlight, the smoking cigarettes after a minute, the comparing the war rooms, and he pulls up his shirt, beer night.
Razor burn. Wait.
The plate in her head.
When they have the actual stuffed beaver going across.
The base, yeah. And John Lovitz just shows up out of nowhere after already being killed 5 minutes earlier.
But the best one in that one is, if you remember the second Lethal Weapon movie, they put the bomb on the toilet.
Yeah. What are you doing?
And he
taking a shit?
Taking a shit.
My favorite part of that entire movie was the final showdown where he keeps kicking all the guys through the glass and they have to stop and move it.
Yeah. Or at the end when they go sequel and they start doing the Wayne's World headbanging in the car.
Yep.
We had that. I got to find that. I need that for my collection. That and the two Hot Shots movies.
God, think about that. That was Jackson hadn't blown up. Lovitz had just come off of Saturday Night Live. Estevez was right in the middle of the Mighty Ducks, and Kathy
Before.
Ireland. What's that?
It was before the Mighty Ducks.
Before Mighty Ducks, and Kathy Ireland had just come off her first Sports Illustrated issue.
Yeah.
I mean,
think
talk
who
about
else-
striking while the iron's hot, and then the movie just gets completely overlooked.
And then you figure remember who else is in it? William Shatner, Dennis
Shatner,
Leary,
Miller,
Tim
yeah.
Curry,
Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg.
God, with the 17 doors. And then
Well,
she's
when
got to
they're-
move herself to fit inside the chalk outline.
Yep. Shoot him. Shoot him.
Shoot him, shoot.
Oh my! Well, National Lampoon's always put out really good movies like that.
I went back and watched a good chunk of Van Wilder the other day, just for the scene where,
The Interview.
at the ice rink where Tara Reid's got a score on him.
No. The Interview. I will say this until I'm blue in the face. The Interview when he went with Cal Penn.
Oh yeah,
How do you say park the porpoise? Done. Fucking done.
the colon blow powder in the smoothie.
That's Richard.
For years, I thought that was Chris Pine
No, yeah, oh,
because he looked a lot
he
like
does. How about the basketball team not only having the deaf head coach, first of all? Second of all,
Darius
did you see
Miles, Lamar Odom.
all the NBA players?
Yeah. Remember,
And it's the one
take a pre-game
game
That
dunk.
would always hit home with me because Darius Miles used to come in when I was working at that first job at Giant Eagle. Darius Miles would come in at least once a week and we'd catch up for about 5 minutes.
He was a good player too.
He was a good player, but he was a better dude.
And by the way, could they have not casted his father any better? Think about it.
Burn Notice.
No, it's not Burn Notice.
It was Tim Matheson.
Never mind Burn Notice. How about Otter from Animal House was Van Wilder's father?
It was good, but I'm always going to remember him from Burn Notice more than anything.
West Wing.
Never saw it.
He plays the vice president, who is basically Bill Clinton because he's banging chicks all over the place. He has to resign, and then the guy who's on NCIS now that took over for Gibbs is the new vice president.
Gary Cole?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean Cotton?
That's right.
And he was also the guy from he was also the boss from Office Space.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going to need you to come in on Saturday.
He's so good right now on NCIS, though. And that's the one thing I hate most about the writer's strike is because they would have been premiering like in 2 weeks or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll leave you with this. I like to read fan fiction every now and again. It's something to do. Somebody wrote an NCIS fan fiction where Donoso actually hosted everybody to watch a movie around Halloween, and he put Hocus Pocus on, and they played it that McGee is actually the one who was in the movie. I was done
My God.
because he hits play and he sees the title thing splash across, and he goes, "Tony, you swore." Oh my God. So next week, everybody, it's 25 minutes to 12 and I'm tired.
Yeah, I got to be
Next
up
week, everybody.
6 hours on my day off.
Yeah, dude, we've got the DIY thing at Lowe's tomorrow with him. So next week on Saturday, the 23rd, we will kick off at 9:00. It will be a live reaction to the second half of Ohio State Notre Dame live from South Bend. I will apologize in advance. I stream everything. Peacock is on a delay. So that might be a little rough, but Jim will have full play-by-play, and if Ohio State's not doing well, you'll know it. And if they are doing well, you'll really know it. So hold on. His toy just started. Hold on. His toy just started going off. So that's next week. 2 weeks from tomorrow we're going to do the NBA that night, the 30th. On September 30th will be the Wisey's first annual NBA NHL combo preview. Guests to be announced. I think we're going to try and get a couple people on that one.
I do know for a fact that there's one guy who wants to come on with us, and actually I'll just say it, Patrick. Patrick definitely.
Yeah, I think we're going to end up with a 4-pack that night because I know Alex said he wanted to jump on too.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Alex can take a little bit of the burden off of you for the NHL preview as well.
Yeah, I'm going to read up. I'll start doing some research on it in my few off minutes I get. But yeah, and then we're steamrolling into the end of October and the special 2-episode week of the Wise Guys, where we bring you not only our live event at the biggest. What is the name of it again?
It used to be the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Now it is called, one second, please hold.
Sorry, my brain's shutting down.
It is actually called the War for the Ore.
Yeah, so we're going to be live at the War for the Ore on the 28th of October, and then our special episode will also come out that week. We don't know how long we'll be live from there because we don't know layout and we don't know what kind of signal we're going to have. But we will have content from there, and we will have a special episode after that because we're coming up on 50 episodes of The Wise Guys, and it doesn't even seem friggin' real.
And that special episode, it may not be a normal Friday episode. It could be a Wednesday for all we know. We'll just it's not going to be a live show though.
No, it's not going to be a live show. It's going to be. Really, that could be our first 2 taped episodes.
I mean, you'd have to go all the way back to the first few episodes of the Wise Guys where we were still doing taped,
which wasn't that often.
Yeah, because
those
were still on the Big Rican channel because I didn't launch my channel until January of last year.
That's right. So we will see you guys 1 week from tomorrow as we break down Ohio State, Notre Dame, and everything else going on, because God knows we're going to get a lot of other crap to deal with too. Jim, enjoy the wedding.
If we saw this much come out in the last 2 or 3 days, God knows what we're going to be now with 8 full days off and a Monday nighter coming up.
Exactly. So, Jim, enjoy the wedding.
I'm really looking forward to seeing my cousins. I have not seen them in quite a long time. Although if we don't have a show next week, it's probably because I got arrested for causing a scene because somebody tried to get me out on a dance floor because they've all been warned in advance.
So we will talk to you guys next week. Have a great rest of your Friday. The last 18 minutes of it anyway. And we will talk to you guys on Saturday, where I will not be wearing my Big Rican hat next Saturday. I can guarantee you that.
I would say everyone enjoy the NFL this week because the college games ain't going to be worth a damn.
No, they're really not. See you guys next week.
Have a good one.